provide a full suite of security services together for our customers. Today's discussion, we're going to dive into the differences and some similarities between EDR, MDR, and XDR. So, Dave, in a world where acronyms are way too many, if you ask me, what does EDR, MDR, and XDR mean?
That's a great question. And I get that one a fair amount of time. Um, at the end of the day, all of them have something in common, which is detection and response. So the D and the R from all three of those acronyms are the same. What's different is the first letter, right? E being endpoint, M being managed, X being extended or open, depending on how you want to talk about it. And there's some key differences. One of them is really endpoint focused. So EDR, it was really where a lot of this started, this whole detection and response. I'm going to put a tool on an endpoint, Macs, PCs, Unix, whatever, Linux, and I'm going to have the ability to detect bad things and respond to them from that EDR tool set. And then you had managed EDR, right? Those are folks who would deliver these services to end customers, detecting and responding their endpoint activities. Um, and that was great because the mid-market SMB didn't have dedicated IT people, and in a lot of cases didn't know what to do with security threats around endpoints.
Hmm.
The evolution of that came through the MSSPs, where they said, let's go to this managed detection and response. Let's do more with our MSSP than we've done in the past, right? In the past, MSSPs would see something and they would shoot an email and say, hey, Cosmo, this bad thing happened in your network, and it's Friday afternoon and you're golfing and you don't look at it till Monday, and all weekend the bad guys have been living in your network, right? So that's a downside of MSSPs is unless they're really good at following up and calling you, they send you a note and it sits there, right? Maybe you go on vacation, sits there for a week. MDR says, I want to do more than just notify. I'm going to detect something bad and I'm going to respond, right? So I'm going to reach into the firewall, put a block in place. I'm going to reach into the network and force a patch. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to respond on behalf of the end customer, right? The downside there is most of those MDR vendors or partners, um, if you don't have technology they support, they won't help you, right? So EDR vendors are limited to endpoints. MDR vendors are limited to the technologies they know. And I understand that, right? Because you can't hire a firewall expert for Cisco and Checkpoint and Palo and Fortinet and right on and put them all on your team. You just can't do it. So as an MDR vendor, I'm going to say these are the best in breed that I do, and I'm going to hire people to support this. And if you don't have that, either you switch or we can't help you. So that's a downside to the MDR. We'll take it a step further and talk about XDR. XDR was the idea that I will do extended detection and response. I'm going to pull data from any source. I don't care who the vendor is. And I'm going to build detections for endpoints and network devices and routers and firewalls and switches and proxy devices and email gateways and correlate all that. And now you've got this visibility that you don't have. And with that detection, I'm going to respond. I'm not just going to talk to the firewalls I know. I'm going to talk to any firewall. I'm going to talk to any endpoint. I'm going to talk to any proxy device. And I'm going to put a control in place to minimize or mitigate that risk. That's the difference of XDR. Open XDR says we don't care what vendor, we don't care where it's from, we don't care what it does. We're going to pull the data in, we're going to build detections on all of the anomalies, and we're going to build responses off of that. All of that on behalf of the end customer.
Hmm. So to kind of get
I know that's a
started,
mouthful.
yeah. Um, how would I get started in something like this? Should I obviously protect Which, I mean, I don't know, you might not agree with me on this, but I still think that the endpoint is probably one of the largest attack vectors still in an environment today. Would you agree or say?
I do, and it's because the user of the endpoint, right? So
Right,
part of our challenge is we have to give our users access, right? Without our
right,
users, we don't have a reason to be here.
exactly.
So that, it's good and bad. It's a catch-22. We have to give them access, and giving them access sometimes without a zero trust model, they go and get access to things they shouldn't. They go to websites they shouldn't. They take their laptops home, and all those controls that you built in the office aren't extended to their home network, right? Because I'm on my home network, I can do whatever I want. And in doing whatever I want, I introduce risk,
Yeah.
right? And so endpoint is huge. It's very important to have a great endpoint strategy. But if you just look at threats in the endpoint vector, you miss those attacks coming in from the internet. You miss those lateral attacks that are hitting your server. You miss the unintended insider threat that is copying all of your medical records to a thumb drive. Right? You miss some of that stuff. And so you have to have visibility. And this is why you see PCI, HIPAA, Sarbanes-Oxley, they're all expecting you to be monitoring these critical elements that have critical data or sensitive data. So you have to do more than just endpoint. Endpoint's part of the strategy, but it can't be the whole strategy.
So you would recommend something like a SIM tool or which security incident event monitoring platform that would give you visibility to the entire ecosystem and not just the endpoints.
I think you have to. Again, you want to, if with a SIM, I'm going to see an attack over here and I'm going to see an attack over here, and I'm going to be able to correlate those together, right? And come up with, oh my gosh, we're under attack by this coordinated effort, whether it's denial of service or somebody's trying to break in. SIM's going to help you identify that. And it's going to see trends, right? This machine in my environment is trying to connect to all my other machines in the environment because it's got ransomware. Endpoints aren't necessarily going to cover that piece. Having a SIM is going to see that, have that visibility. And then again, if we can build detections and responses, we can respond to that.
Excellent. So does it matter on the size of the business? I mean, I'm assuming obviously if you're a big enterprise, you'd have these platforms in place and these procedures in place. But what about the smaller guys out there? How do they accomplish something like this?
So, the truth is the smaller guys struggle. Part of it is the business problem that there aren't enough security practitioners, right? That's number one. So even if they had the right tools, they don't have anybody to manage them, right? And that's where you need a partner like us, like you, like Wecos, like Highwire, to deliver a service that they can scale down to a 10 user shop or a 20 user dentist office, right? Or
Right.
the fire department downtown, right? They need protection because they've got sensitive data, but they can't afford those enterprise tools by themselves. And this is why we partner together, is we can take enterprise tools and scale them down to even the small customers, but scale them up to thousands and thousands of endpoints and everything in between. And
Right.
that's, to me, that's the kind of partner you need to have.
Right. So delivering a sort of an enterprise type solution to a, let's say, smaller mid-tier
Absolutely.
customer
That's right.
budget. Yeah. Well, Dave, it's always a pleasure, and I always feel smarter after I talk to you. So this has been a good session. Thank
I
you so
enjoyed it.
much again.
Happy to do it.
Um, and if you'd like to learn more about EDR, MDR, XDR, give us a call, reach out to us, and we'll talk to you again real soon.
Sounds good. Have a great day.